Hi, and welcome along to the Invincible podcast live deadline day special with my man Lee Judges in the. I can't reach it. It's for a party, man. You're right. We're not in the pub today. We're not at the Tollington today. Obviously, it's mid-afternoon. Tollington very, very busy, but we're in the studio, and of course, it's transfer deadline day. We're going to discuss that. Talk a bit about the game on the weekend as well. We got Man United, of course, and also. Actually, let me ask you about this first. The Champions League draw yesterday. Yeah. I haven't seen you since then. What did you make of it?
Europa League draw, wasn't it?
RC Lens, PSV and Sevilla.
Yeah. Oh, well, obviously Sevilla in it because of they won the Europa League.
Yeah.
PSV we played in the Europa League last season. And I don't think Lens were even in the Europe last season. No. So, it could have been a Europa League draw, really. But
the group of life.
And the group of life. But I look at it and I think to myself, right, from a selfish point of view, like from my point of view, a little bit disappointed. There was in that I think we could have drawn Lens, Celtic or Berlin.
Yeah. And
we ended up getting Lens, which, I actually went there for the Euros, England versus Wales. There's not a lot there, Robbie. There's not a lot there. So there's not much there in Lens. But from the perspective of getting through and travelling and everything like that, France, you can actually get there on the Eurostar.
Yep.
So you don't even have to fly. Holland, as we know, is only an hour and a bit away. And of course in Seville, 2 hours Spain, you can't really argue with that, really.
It's lovely weather.
Yeah, nice weather, and they do nice oranges there at this time of year. So listen, from a footballing point of view, I don't think we could have asked for much better. I think
couldn't have asked for a better
us
draw.
And Man United would be, Man City would be. City's group is like simple.
Yeah.
Man United, got Bayern Munich pulled out first, and you're thinking they might get, but they done okay. And I think we've got to say that we probably City got the best draw, and then us. I think
Newcastle got a horrendous.
Yeah, they got a tough one. I think Newcastle will come through that.
Maybe. It's a tough group, man. They're up against a lot of experienced. Teams in the Champions League.
That's the thing is you would say about Champions League. It is that little bit of experience, isn't it? We have, 6 years since we've heard that music and that draw.
7, isn't it?
This is the 7th season, is it?
7th season, man.
I'll tell you what was good though. There's been 2 draws this week, and Tottenham fans have not been interested in voting. Absolutely.
Do you know what earlier? Right, I'll tell you what earlier. This is what I saw. Right, and I'm like, the Europa League draw for Brighton. They've got Ajax, Marseille, and AEK Athens. I'm like, that's harder than our draw.
Yeah, that is. You know what I mean? And they've got some great places to go to there.
Great places, man. But what a tough draw that is.
Did they play in
Marseille in the Champions League last year?
Yeah, Tottenham's group.
So Ajax Champions League team normally,
as well.
And AEK Athens. That is not easy. I mean, I was like,
some good little. I'd love, when we went to PSV last season by train, you have to go past Ajax new stadium. And It's a lovely stadium.
Yeah.
So Brighton fans will enjoy the trip there.
Yeah, enjoy it, man. But I'm just talking about reaching far in the tournament. It's not great. You know what I mean? So
no, it's going to be a tough one for them. But Brighton are a good side now, Robbie.
And they've just signed Ansu Fati today on loan, which was a bit of a coup. That was a player that Arsenal apparently had a little look at. I was never convinced that Arsenal were going to go and get him because they've got so many attacking players. Tottenham, though, were really, really hard in for Ansu Fati, and Brighton have been able to pull off a coup by getting him on loan for the season. So, but that brings us on to our transfer window, and I'm just looking at this super chat that's coming here from Carlton Conray. Says, window, embarrassing. No closer to City, no more depth. Usually positive about Arsenal, but second last year, papered over the real issue. Kroenke out, bloody hell. I mean, he's gone in hard. Now, the transfer window as it stands, it hasn't closed yet, but outgoings, we know that at the moment, Rob Holding is on the verge of joining Crystal Palace on a permanent deal. So I think that's a good move for Rob Holding. So Rob Holding's going to be leaving. Nuno Tavares left today as well. He's joined Nottingham Forest, which looks like that's probably going to end up being a permanent move as well. He's gone on a...
Helps out Spurs, we have here.
Yep, they've got a £2 million loan deal. Arsenal, a loan fee for that, and then there's an option for him to be bought by Nottingham Forest, and all in all, that deal will end up being about £13 million for Arsenal. So, sorry, £14 million for Arsenal. So not a bad deal. We've been good on the outgoings today, but Mikel Arteta asked earlier on about business, and he was saying that he doesn't look like we're going to be doing any more business for the day. And I have to say, I'm a little disappointed in that. Now, when we look at our transfer window and we look at the players that have come in, obviously we were really excited at the start of the window. Declan Rice signing, Jurrien Timber, Havertz, David Raya. You look on those four and you think positive, really, really, especially the Declan Rice and Timber one, really, really positive. Even David Raya, so that's a quality keeper that we got on loan. Remember, we haven't really had to pay nothing for him. But now, this guy, what he just said there is reflecting of quite a lot of people where they've ended up the window feeling a bit disappointed because lots and lots of players have gone out. But I think there's a lot of people who thought that maybe we may have got one or two players in before the end of the transfer window. Maybe a cover for Saka on that right wing. But in particular, for me personally, I feel that at the back,
we've left ourselves short.
We've listed. I thought we would have went and got one sort of versatile player, because I look on it like this and I say, in effect, we almost have to look on it like we haven't signed Timber.
Yeah, that's how
because unfortunately,
like
great signing, looked fantastic in pre-season, and actually Arsenal, had we not got that injury to Timber, I'd be saying fantastic window.
Different
because what Arsenal did, you shouldn't have, as a big club, you shouldn't be depending on deadline day. You shouldn't even be doing no business on deadline day. You should have your business done already, and it should be like what Arsenal are doing now, is he's just getting rid of players on deadline day, but all your major players in early, pre-season, ready to go, and that's what they've done. But with Timber picking up that injury, I feel that it's almost like you have to kind of erase that signing, because we're not going to see Jurrien Timber till at least March next year. That's if he recovers quickly.
I'll be surprised if we see him.
Exactly. So I think we should have went out and got another signing, even if it was another loan to cover in that area. I don't know how you feel.
No, I do. Listen, I think it'd been a great window, and say like Timber was playing and then he gets injured on Sunday, and the injury that you have to say that's really bad luck and unlucky. But this happened 3 weeks ago. So we could have got somebody in and all that. Now I look at it, and I'll be really honest with you, Robbie. One of the reasons, I think the reason we didn't win the league last season, because we picked up injuries and the squad wasn't strong enough in a campaign with Europa League football. What actually have we done to strengthen the squad? We strengthened the team, and I'll tell you where I look at it, and this is how I look at it at the moment. Raya has replaced Turner. Better signing, better goalkeeper, so that's improved. So that's improved there. Havertz has come in and replaced Xhaka. Okay, Timber has come in and replaced Tierney, if you want, or even Holding. You can mention one of them two, So the only signing that we've made to strengthen the squad, which wasn't strong enough last season, is Declan Rice. And you think about it, the squad as depth-wise wasn't strong enough to compete in the Europa League and the Premier League as it come out. One of the reasons everybody says it weren't Mikel's fault, it was because we didn't have a strong enough squad. That squad now has not been improved enough, considering we've got Champions League football and you want to challenge for the title. Now on top of that, you've lost Timber, who I think Timber is a massive blow to us, because I'll tell you why. He's one player that can play three positions. Yeah. He could play left back, right back and central defence, right? So you've took him completely out of that now, and that has left us with the same the same squad of defenders as last season, taking away Tierney and Holding. So you've taken away that. So if Saliba gets injured, you're in the same position you was last season. Yeah. Worse. So, or maybe even worse, because you haven't got Holding there. So when you look at that, I'm afraid that the transfer window left us short again. And how many times, how many times are we going to say, I feel like I'm, going to be like, going auditioning for Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, because every season I keep saying we're short, we're short, we're short, we're short, we're short, we're short, we're short again going into this to the season.
It's baffling. It's baffling for me because I look on it and I say, right, if I go across the back line, right, so right back you've got Ben White and you've got Tomiyasu who can cover there, right, as well.
That's going to be the two there, yeah.
Centre back, you've got Saliba, and then I guess Ben White who can cover there if need be, right?
Yeah, but say for instance, say if Tomiyasu's out injured.
Which is what happened last season. Which is what happened last year. Tomiyasu and Saliba are out.
Ben White has to go. So you've got Thomas Partey that can go in right back. Is that what was going to happen?
Which is not a right back. And then Thomas. Let me just remind you of this, right? Thomas Partey, come January, African Cup of Nations.
Ain't going to be here.
Tomiasu's got the Asian Cup coming on, right? So I'm baffled, right? I cannot believe that Arsenal have not gone out and brought in somebody, even like you've got the left-sided centre-backs, you've got Kivior and you've got Gabriel. He's just about, he hasn't gone anywhere, he's staying.
So who covers
right?
Zinchenko?
Right, and then you've got Zinchenko, and then again, the cover for Zinchenko, again, is Tomiyasu. Right? Tomiyasu does a job over on the left, or you drop Kivior in there, right? Who's obviously not a left-sided. It just does not make no sense to me, right?
We've
let Holding go. We've let Tierney go, right? We've got players, as you said, right, that there's Saliba got injured for a big portion of last season with a back problem. Back problems can come back.
Go, yeah.
We know all about that.
Yeah,
you know
exactly.
what I mean? A back problem, you can just wake up one morning and all of a sudden.
We're 2 players short of what we was last season in defence.
And we've got Champions League football.
Now, make sense of it.
Yeah, I don't listen. Even the up front, right? I'm like, you know what? There's enough players up front. I'm glad that they've kept Emile Smith-Rowe. Yeah. Right, so Emile Smith-Rowe, because when I was chatting to somebody and he was saying, "Oh, Robbie, what's going on, man?" He goes, "Why don't we get Ansu Fati?" And I'm like, if we got Ansu Fati, then that's the end of Smith-Rowe. Because where's he, Ansu Fati? Ansu Fati is leaving on loan from Barcelona because he wants to play football.
Yeah, so
there's no point in him coming to Arsenal because he's not going to get in front of a lot of the players. We've got Fabio Vieira, we've got Emile Smith-Rowe. We've got enough attacking. Maybe we could have done with a right winger. Maybe people would argue that we could do with another striker, right? But we've got enough attacking options up there. But at the back, I am a bit worried about at the back. All it takes is for one. This is why it's a gamble, because all it takes is for another Urian Timber type injury, which can happen at any time, and we're short. I don't understand it.
Last year, Robbie, we were short of a midfield player going into the season. You know what I mean? And now, I still think we could do with another midfield player. But you're playing Champions League football like this. Let's get this right. Last season in the Europa League, we made changes, with lots of changes. Still managed to get through the group and win it because it's the Europa League standard. This is a different ball game now. You ain't going to be able to rest players. So where is Saliba going to make? So you're asking Saliba. I think you're asking Saliba, by the way, and Ben White, in particular, them two, to play week in, week out through Champions League, through whatever, And the other two, I'm sorry, I'm a massive Zinchenko fan. His record isn't something that you
injury record's been poor.
He's been poor. You look at it and it's a
Thomas
worry.
Partey as well.
Thomas Partey,
injury record, and he ain't no right back for me.
And Tomiyasu, So I look at it and I think to myself, well, I'm sorry, you've left your work, And now we've only got 3 central defenders. Really, you can put Ben White in there, but Ben White's been playing right back. I really. He's looking to experience, like with this Thomas Partey thing. We had an argument last week. It ain't working.
Yeah, let me do a couple of super chats because we are live. Remember, this is Invincible Podcast Live Special Deadline Day edition. BWZ says if it's wrong with transfers and tactics, it's sackable. Jeez. Colton Conroy says clarify. clarify. Rice class, Kai and Raya, I see the talent, but less than 140 net spend now. And where's the depth? We're one injury away and we're worse off than last year, which is basically what you were saying, isn't it?
Exactly.
I just think that at the moment, Mikel Arteta is taking a gamble, unless, or he could be looking at it, and this is the other thing that I'm slightly worried about, right, is that maybe he's looking and thinking, well, you know, the formation I'm looking to play is like sort of three, like defenders at the back, right?
I only need a certain amount.
So I only need a certain amount. You know what I mean? Because it's baffling to me. I was looking at it today, I was thinking, why not go and get a player that can play right back or left back and get a little loan deal going for someone. Go at Southampton, that Walker Peters, bring him in. You can cover right back, you can cover left back. Bring somebody like that in. I mean, there's talk that it could be possibly Raoul Walters, who's a young kid coming up through the ranks, and you know, maybe
there's an opportunity for him now, isn't there?
It's an opportunity for him.
So he'll play probably against Brentford. Listen, the Brentford tie ain't a guarantee.
No.
I'm sorry, Robbie. I'm not in this camp no more of throwing away cup competitions no more. Like just for the sake of it. Like, you know, we've been doing that for 2 or 3 years. Now we've got to the Champions League and we're still going to be doing it. I'm not having it no more. Like, you know, the buck stops now. If Arsenal blow out and don't get into the top 4, don't challenge for the title like they did last season, I'm not having that excuse. The squad weren't strong enough now. I'm looking at other people now that have got to be blamed. You know.
Let's take a look at the signings, right? So, as I said again, Declan Rice from West Ham for 105 million, and let's not, because and I know there's some people in here who saying, "Oh, Robbie, you're going to defend." I try to be what I try to do with transfer window is be balanced as well.
Yeah.
Right, because you know what, you can see a team like I don't know, even a Nottingham Forest today going out and buying 4 or 5 players, or a Chelsea buying loads and loads of players. Where has it really got them? It ain't really got them nowhere. And you know what I mean? To me, as I said, a well-organised team gets their business done early in the window, brings them in full pre-season. We've actually done that, right? So Declan Rice, £105 million, statement signing. It's come in, has looked like he's been playing for Arsenal for years, as far as I'm concerned. I think that's going to be an excellent signing. It's a long-term signing, right? Urian Timber, 38 million. I thought, again, another brilliant signing, fitted into Arsenal like a glove, but apparently, you know, unfortunately injured. Right, a massive blow, because I think I think had he not been injured, maybe we wouldn't be talking this way today. David Raya,
we wouldn't be. 100% we wouldn't be.
David Raya
transfer window.
Yeah, David Raya on loan. You know, when there was teams like Tottenham like putting in bids, you know, and those bids getting turned down because Brentford wanted 40 million for him. I think that was a smart bit of business. The one that's divided a lot of opinion, Kai Havertz, 65 million. Right, we'll get back to that one in a minute. Then Arsenal now, what they've done really, really well this season, which they haven't always done that well, is outgoings. Of course, Balogun going to Monaco, around about £35 million when you include all the add-ons and everything. Granit Xhaka, he's left for, I think they reckon that's going to work out to about 21 million.
Yeah.
All in all, when that's all concluded. Matt Turner went for 10 million. Austin Trusty about 5 million. Pablo Mari for 6 million. Kieran Tierney, that's another defensive player actually, Pablo Mari. Kieran Tierney, he's gone out on loan for the season to Real Sociedad. They paid a loan fee for him. Nuno Tavares has gone, as I said. That could work out to be probably, you know, there's a loan fee again of over £1 million, or maybe up to 2 million, some people are saying, and with an option for them to buy. So, you know, that could work out to bring about 12-13 million in. Nuno Tavares, sorry, I just said Nuno Tavares. Marquinhos has got out on loan as well. Don't forget, he's gone out to Nantes on loan. Ainsley Maitland-Niles, of course, his contract was finished, so he's left. And Runarsson, the other goalkeeper, he's gone out on loan as well. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Charlie Patino's, you could add in Patino to that as well. That's about 12 players that they've moved out, and they've bought 4 players in, and one of those is a goalkeeper. So 3 outfield players. So they've really trimmed the squad. Now, let me play devil's advocate a little bit here, right? It could be that Arsenal sort of saying, because you do have to, like, when you're doing transfers, plan a bit long term. So could it be that they're saying, right, let's just strip it down a bit, and then we got a good amount of money to go big in January. Maybe we go for Ivan Toney, say, for instance, who could be available in a January for 8. I'm just saying. Or maybe, you know, we don't do all our money now because we can't really see the suitable targets that we want, and we kind of hold it back and we wait until then. It could be a bit of that. And Ed's Isma, with a super chat, he says, I think Mikel and Edu know what they're doing. They might have some plays for January. Hold your horses, trust the process. He's sort of suggesting that as well. But there could be an element of that where they're saying, let's hold off until January. But
history doesn't.
Still, personally, I'm just saying, I still think, I'm not saying go out there and splash out 50, 60 million pounds today. I'm like, go and get a loan deal done.
I'm not. You know, like, I'm not buying into all this. We're going to do this in January and whatever. Like, you know, Tony would be a magnificent signing in January. Like, you know, it depends where you are in the Champions League from that point. There is another transfer window 4 months down the line, but for me, you cannot continue to be kept short, Robbie. You know, here we are again saying it with Champions League football. There was the excuse last year, oh, we haven't got Champions League football, this is why it is, or we haven't got so many games. I look at it and I think that over the last few years we've done some fantastic business to get the players, and we have. Let's give credit where credit's due, but we've just not gone over the line to just push it through. The Declan Rice one makes it good. Listen, we're all sitting in there. It was a good window. If Timber hadn't got injured, let's be honest. I think it's a 7 out of 10, 8 out of 10. But I still think now we've left ourselves going short into a difficult period for this football club now, because we're not playing well at the moment. You know, if things go wrong on Sunday, we're middle of the table. Pressure is on. You know, we're not playing as well as what we was last season.
The middle of the table is this. It's the 4th game.
Don't matter. Still middle of the table, isn't it?
You're panicking a bit, aren't you?
Not only that, if we was to lose or draw on Sunday, right, you say it's middle of the table, I look at the bigger picture, right? That's four games, 3 of them at home. 3 of them at home. You know what I mean? And you're halfway down the table, like, you know, that's not good. You know, I look at someone like Liverpool at the moment, 3 games gone, 2 of their away games, away to Chelsea and away to Newcastle. Picks up some points already, like, you know, I'd rather be in their position than ours at this moment in time, like, you know. They've picked up the same points as us, and our 3 games have been at home to Forest and at home to Fulham and away to Palace. They're 3 games. So, you know, our next 4 or 5 games, Robbie, are defining games to the season. When you think about it, Manchester United, you come back Everton away, then you got Tottenham at home, then you've got Bournemouth away, and then I think you've got City and Bournemouth away, or Bournemouth away, City at home.
Yeah.
Now, have a look at Man City's next 5 games. They're all teams that you expect them to beat. So Liverpool got a couple of difficult games in there and all that. Like, if after those 5 games, that would be 8 games gone. If we're 7 or 8 points away from Man City, it's done and dusted already. You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't done and dusted like when we was 5-6 points in front.
Expectations have gone up.
Expectations have gone up. I do think Sunday's game.
What happened to the saying, you know, let's wait and see where we are after 10 games?
No, but that's gone now with the way things are, and I think Sunday's game is massive because of that. Like, you know, and on top of that, you've not done what I expected us to do in the transfer window. You know, I look at other teams. You know, Liverpool, and I look at Manchester City. Manchester City have lost players to replace them, and if things are not quite right with a certain player, and listen, it's unfortunate with the Timber one, but you've had an opportunity to do something about it. Like, I can't stress that enough. You know what I mean? if you want to, if you're hoping a player gets injured, and you don't want a player getting injured, but if you do, you want it in the transfer window, like, you know what I mean. So I think that Arsenal have missed a trick. I don't like all this, you know. Oh well, we've got to change things up because we might get found out and all that. Like, we had a fantastic season last year as far as the challenging for the title. So you just build on it a little bit, Robbie, and we haven't done that.
There's loads of super chats coming in. Thank you to everybody. We are live here on deadline day. Scott Hudson says, come on you Gunners, Timber Rice was perfect signings. Kai wasn't needed. Diaby would have made a lot of sense, and look how he started at Villa. We are weaker in defence with Tierney and Holding leaving. Replacements, he says. Joseph says, I think the reason why some of us are concerned is because injuries impacted our title run last season. Our defensive line is not as strong. An injury in defence could lead to disaster. HW said, let's be honest, our defence is now worse than last season with the injury to Timber. We have the same defence which last season fell at the final hurdle, and we have more important competitions. It doesn't make any sense. And
that's a great point. That's a fantastic super chat, that is, because he's hit the nail right on the head.
Yeah, Mikel Arteta asked about the sort of situation and with Timber. He says, asked why he didn't go into the market after the Urian Timber injury. He said, well, we've done quite a lot, and obviously we have a lot of uncertainty over a lot of players as well, so we have to be very cautious and find alternatives and ways. Sometimes you want to do everything that is needed, but sometimes it's not possible, and we've had to adapt. So he's obviously talking about their players having to play in different positions and stuff like that, but you're relying on players, some of them that have got horrendous injury records. Like Tommy Asu's got a bad injury record. Bad injury record.
Shocking.
And so is Zinchenko as well. Eros says, Robbie, we've been patient for over 20 years. 40 Side says, does Arteta see Rice as a possible cover at centre-back if required? That's true. And Havertz can cover the entire front three, fewer players but more versatility. Yeah, that's a good point. Rice did used to play. This one's making me laugh. This next one, Rice did used to play as a centre back. Yeah. Colton Conroy says Pepe is still here. We can slot him as a centre back. And Constantine says people are unhappy because we disrupted last year's system, what worked, and have less depth. If we want to win big trophies, it's a sackable offence. He says.
Listen, is it a sack? I was talking about this earlier on. Is it a sackable offence at this moment in time if he doesn't win a trophy? I think you've got to look at it on the context of how it goes. You know, listen, Brentford's going to be a very, very difficult game. If you go there and lose that game, you've only got then the FA Cup. If you was to pick up, I don't know, say for instance, you get Bournemouth away in the FA Cup and you lose that, then I think you're under a little bit of pressure. If you like the FA Cup, I look at what Spurs have done. You're taking a big gamble by doing what you've done, because the FA Cup comes around in January. You can pick up Man City away like we did last season, Man United away, Liverpool away, and you're in trouble. So say if we was to pick up Liverpool away or Manchester City away next season, you go out the FA Cup. In the context of it, it ain't like, well, you've got to win a trophy. You've got to have that little bit of luck. But if they were to go out against like a Bournemouth and a Brentford this season and not do well in the Champions League and not get top four, just say that happens. Someone's head's got to roll, Robbie. Someone's head's got to roll if that does happen.
Got to have a good season.
So I think they put pressure
a lot of money.
Themselves. I think they put a lot of pressure under themselves unnecessarily. Not only that, you could argue at this moment in time, and like a few super chats are sort of going along that road. We spent a lot of money and we're weaker. We spent big money.
I think we're weaker only because of the Urian Timber injury. I think if he would have been fit, we wouldn't be weaker. But because of his injury, it's made us weaker. Sorry, let me do a couple more. They're coming in, Lee, on the rapid. Daniel Cronin says people need to chill. The jury is out on the transfer window. It will take time for Havertz to develop, and we won't know about Timber till at least January 2025. I think he means 2024. I hope it's 2025. Shrev says, first time in years Mikel had money, but our squad isn't world class. Last year's we didn't qualify for the Champions League. Then we goofed up in the end. If we did get top four, is it Wenger or Mikel FC? Plus Gabriel Magalhaes is a mystery. Well, he is staying. Gabriel. HW says, having said what I said in an earlier super chat, if there was ever a time for Raoul Waters to burst onto the scene at Arsenal, the time is now. And maybe he's seen something in training with that kid where he's saying, you know.
That's a great point, Robbie. Like, you know, we don't see what's going on in training. He must be seeing, he could be actually seeing this kid a little bit like Saliba. Like, we didn't know what was going on there. He's seeing him and go, do you know what? I need to free up something to get this kid involved. You know what I mean? And that's what I'm hoping. But you know, and he comes in and does the business. You know, so listen, I watched him in pre-season last year, and I thought, well, it's one to look out for.
There's also another one of these signings. I think everybody's buzzing, happy with Declan Rice. Everybody's was very happy with Timber. David Raya, we all know his quality. There's one signing there, right, which is Kai Havertz, which costs a lot of money, £65 million. So far, he's not hit the ground running.
No.
This is a signing, really, that when you look at it, you're like, this is Mikel Arteta's signing, because we were all baffled at the time. We were all like, Kai Havertz, we were surprised by it, and the amount of money paid for it as well.
Yeah,
and remember, it's our first signing.
Yeah.
First signing of the transfer window. Where are you on this signing?
On sitting well on the fence on it, Robbie, like, you know what I mean? Splinters up my backside at this moment in time, like, because I don't know. I've actually, he has got me watching games of football, more games, because I'm having to go home to see it and watch it. I went back and watched the Fulham game. I normally don't like to watch Arsenal when they don't win, like, you know, but I've had to go there and watch this game. Was he as bad as what I thought he was, or what everybody was saying against he wasn't. I'll be honest, he wasn't. But what I noticed on a couple of occasions, we moved the ball very, very quickly, and then he got the ball. On one occasion, we'd worked it well, got it out quickly, got it to him, and instead of him moving it quickly, he turned back in, didn't lose the ball, but he slowed the game down, Robbie, slowed down movement down. We kept the ball, but we'd lost the momentum of the attack. Now, last season, I see, like, on lots of occasions, the ball going, say, like to Xhaka, and he'd just one touch it out to Martinelli, and the move would continue. But what I'm watching now is that there was on a couple of occasions, the ball went out slowly to Martinelli, but by the time Martinelli had got the ball, he'd had a couple of players on him. He couldn't do what he was doing last season and getting round the back, so he's had to come and cut inside and all that. Momentum of the game was lost. I think then, as the game went on, he lost a little bit of confidence in his game. You know what I mean? He tried to just it was one time, I think he just tried to play a little pass to Declan Rice. It didn't happen, and the crowd got on his back. And I think he's struggling. I think he's struggling in the position he is. I mean, the best game he's had for Arsenal was when we played him up front against Manchester City. I thought we'd done well that day. But what the problem is with him at this moment in time is, I think that we're changing all our tactics around to get him in the side, and he's not producing a performance that merits all those changes. If you look at it like that, Saka has not been at his best, because I think the partnership between him and White's been not happening. Martinelli's lost all of his left side. If you look at it like from Martinelli's point of view, he had Gabriel and Xhaka, they've both gone out of the equation. So he's not quite been at it. And I think that the partnerships of like Thomas Partey and Odegaard in midfield was a very good. That's not been there, you know. So I think that there's other things that have snowballed on to make this a difficult one. I think it's a massive decision if he plays on Sunday. I think Arteta will play him. I think that he will. But where he plays him is a real big worry for me.
Yeah, Coltrane Conroy says, as negative as I've been in my other three, Super 35 is the new Super 65 is the new 35 with Saudi money. So what he's saying is 65 million is like 35 million with all the Saudi money that's coming to things. Now I've got to give time to clear that Chelsea mindset and get settled. He's on about Kai Havertz. Jay Federer Jay says, if Saliba and Tommy get injured again, with Timber out and Holding gone, we literally have a weaker team than last season. Unforgivable for not replacing Timber. Abdullah says, overreacting. If we had Timber last year after Saliba and Tommy were injured, he'd be right back and White centre back. Timber alone is injured now. A big team should handle it. One long-term injury easily. We only sold dead weight. Now, I'm not saying that we should have kept Rob Holding. That's not what I'm saying at all.
I think
I do feel that we have cover, right? Because you are. This gentleman's right in that you've got. You can say to Ben, right, Ben White, you can slot in at centre back. But what worries me, if everyone's fit, then you say Tomiyasu, you play right back, and Zinchenko, you play left back. But let's just look at what the history of those two players have been.
Exactly that.
Tomiyasu and Zinchenko, lots of injuries last season, lots of game missed. So I'm like, get someone else that can cover both sides. Now, you knew Timber was such a good signing because he's so versatile, right?
Yeah,
so you knew that he was the centre back, right-sided centre back at Ajax. So you know that he could cover that. But if anything happened to Saliba, Timber covers him. He can play at right back. Right, does that sometimes a lot of times for Holland. So he could play there, and we saw that he could play at left back. Completely versatile across that. So if he was still there, I get it, and I would even have got it moving on Tierney because I would have seen hardly any game time and stuff like that. But with the injury to Timber, even if we didn't buy anybody, why have we made Kieran Tierney go out on loan?
Yeah,
we've got Champions League games, and I do not understand. We should have brought someone in, even if it was a loan. I'm not saying, as I said, go out there and spend £50 million.
Even if it was a loan till January or something.
Yeah, in an ideal world, the player would have loved to have seen coming was Cancelo.
Yeah.
Right? But City are not going to win to give us Cancelo. Cancelo wanted to go to Barcelona. He would have been perfect because he would have been versatile to play both those positions, and he's that ball-playing type player that we know Arteta likes. But to not get anybody...
No, and the other
That's
thing is,
weird.
Robbie, which worries me, and I'm, I don't make it no secret on here. I think Ben White is an outstanding defender, but the one weak point of his game is his heading. I watched it back the other day. He never won a header, Robbie. So if you're asking him to come into centre half and you're not winning your headers, I think that's a big worry. So when he's playing right back, he hasn't got to head the ball so much. And my God, he's a fantastic defender. You know what I mean? One-on-ones he's very, very good at, and he does get an help. But if he was to go back central defence, I remember when he made his debut against Brentford, he did get bullied in the air. And I don't think he's really improved on that side of it. I actually surprised how weak we was on our heading ability last season. Not just him, Saliba as well. I would say, I love Saliba as a player. If he has a weakness, it's his heading, because he never won anything there. And Kivia, who I think is a decent defender, he never won anything. So it is a problem long term, saying, right, you're going to put Ben White in there, So for me, I think he's got to go back to his rigid the back four that worked last season. Now, people are like, you've said it, I'm trying to say, that back four conceded goals at home. It has done all round, you know what I mean? But I don't think it's necessarily the players, it's the way we play. So maybe Arteta's got to look at that, and that's why he's probably gone down this road of trying to get more possession and all that. But let's be honest, the last two games have been carnage at home, really, Robbie. I thought we controlled the game really well at Palace when we was one, but the two games at home, I think, have been carnage. Carnage to watch, exciting to watch, no doubt about that.
I think you're getting a bit far. Carnage.
Well, we're never really in control of that game against.
Nottingham Forest weren't carnage.
Well,
Come on, man.
I don't know. It could have been.
They were on our case for about 10 minutes.
That last 10 minutes was
10 minutes of a game.
10, 15 minutes weren't great, Robbie. Like, they could, look, all right, it ain't carnage, but then when I see a player run from one box to the other and not get a tackle, I'm going to say carnage. And in the game against Fulham, I look at that, and we never was really in control of that game. It's a good. When I look back on it, entertaining game of football. You get your money's worth at the Emirates, you know what I mean. But you don't get. If you're a Jules Graham, I don't think Jules Graham would be enjoying it watching the Arsenal at this moment in time.
Shref says, couldn't we have just got ex-City guys for the midfield and gone with 150 million bid for Osimhen rather than Havertz and Rice? We finished second, but no striker. Osimhen was not for sale. You know what I mean? You don't think that all the clubs in Saudi Arabia and all that wanted him. They didn't even bother to bid because they were told he's not for sale. There's been rumours actually that Arsenal might move for him next season. But Osimhen is not for sale.
They're moving everybody. Ferguson,
I'm just saying rumours. Not according to me. I'm just saying according to some of the rumours.
Yeah, according to rumours.
King
got to go to one of them, I suppose. But
yeah. King Gunner says, challenging question for you both. You must choose one. If Arsenal could sign a prime Henry or a prime Bergkamp tonight, who are you choosing, Robbie and Lee?
Ooh.
That's a hard one, isn't it?
It is a hard one.
I'll probably go Henry.
Probably go Henry because we've got Odegaard.
Because we've got Odegaard in there. We've got creativity.
I'm not saying that Odegaard's like Bergkamp, but I just think that we need that.
Yeah.
More an out-and-out striker than a playmaker.
Syed Abdullah, he says 6 defenders to play 3 competitions from now till December, when 2 of the 6 are injury merchants. With 2 international breaks to come, when anything can happen in terms of injury, this club just never learns. Just one more player. I just felt that just get one more body through the door to cover. Right, because that's the only thing that what he says there, it worries me. I look at and it's overshadowed what's pretty good window because, as I said, Declan Rice, £105 million. We beat City to the signing of him. I think people are forgetting that. It's so long ago now because it was so early in the window. But as I said, a sensible. When you take a look back, everybody on deadline day. We all want a nice little late deadline day signing. It's great. But actually, what's messed up Arsenal in many seasons has been running around on deadline day buying 3-4 players. That is never a good look.
I remember we were doing this in the Wenger years, weren't we? And then the transfer window will finish today like it does today, and then you're expecting these players to come in on the Sunday and do the business on the Saturday. It ain't going to happen, you know what I mean? It's going to take them a little bit of time to settle in. Listen, we've had all of our players, all of our signs, bar Raya, on the American tour. You know what I mean? So that
full pre-season,
and Declan Rice now has had 3 games. I think the first 2, well, maybe the first one, the Community Shield and the first league game, settling in. Look how well he's in there now. So if you're bringing in these signs, it's going to take 2, 3, 4. Like with Havertz, I don't know how long it's going to take. You know what I mean? With him, but. He
needs to hurry up. He's just not going to get there.
He needs a goal. Listen, I know he sounds silly on this, right? That these professional footballers are losing their confidence. But look at Vieira the other day. I think he's a good player, Vieira. But as soon as he got that penalty, his confidence, he wanted the ball all the time, you know what I mean? Weren't shying away from it, was it? And because all of a sudden his confidence was there. And it's just how unbelievable confidence is in a player, you know what I mean? What difference it can make. So if he bangs in a goal, it could be the difference between him being a success and a failure,
Yeah, Dennis says Havertz scored the winning goal in the Champions League final. He's in the team to win big games. And they did against City in pre-season.
Listen, someone made this point to me a couple of days ago, and I think it's a fantastic point, right? He's had 3 games, Havertz, right? Yeah. Now Dennis Bergkamp come to the Arsenal. Imagine if it was all like social media now about Dennis Bergkamp, was suffering in the first few games. You could see he was a good player. I know that, but it weren't happening. In fact, I remember the press and the papers and all that going, what a waste of money is Dennis Bergkamp.
Do you know what I actually found that the other day.
Right.
And I actually, let me see if...
Yeah, so it took
There
him...
it is, look. I don't know if the camera, probably too far away for the camera to see it, but that was the headline in the paper, Bergie's a waste of money.
So... So how wrong was that, like, you know?
Remember it?
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, that's what I was saying at the time. And then he had a game against Southampton. Do you remember that? And he scored the goal against Southampton, and the rest is history. So I don't remember wrong. It was more than 3 games before he got that goal against Southampton. It must be 6, 7 games. So
I thought it was 8.
It might be 8.
It might be. I'm not 100% sure.
So you've, because of Man City and what they're doing these days, you haven't got that time so much, like, you know what I mean. So I'm going to give him the time that he needs.
You may give it to him, but other fans are not going to. The thing is about this signing, and this is where, you know, this signing is Mikel Arteta's signing. Nobody, let's be real now, nobody wanted Havertz. Yeah, it's another Chelsea signing, and then when people found out how much he cost as well, they're like, why? Now, when you get a signing like that, where people are thinking, why, and it costs that amount of money, right? It has to work. It has to work, and it has to work quickly. I don't think he's going to get the Bergkamp time. Because I remember, and you remember, we're both old enough to remember, we were there at Highbury watching him. Even though people were very uncertain about him, even though those headlines were in the paper, we were all really willing him to score in it. It's like that sort of a... Whereas in the case of Kai Havertz, I get the impression that there's a lot of people that are sort of like, right, show me something.
Yeah, I get that.
Show me something. They're not willing him. I'm not saying this for everybody, but I think there's a lot of fans that are not willing him. They're like, yo, you need to prove to me that you deserve to be here, because I didn't really want you here. And that is the difference, right? With the Bergkamp signing, we all wanted him. We were all over the moon when we got him, because we all knew he was a world-class player. But it's just that at first we're thinking, he's taking long to get going, but we're all willing him to do well. This is where this one's different.
And that's the problem.
He has to be successful.
I feel that there's a lot of people out there, there's a lot of fans out there, Robbie, that are not convinced of Arteta, like, you know what I mean? Like, as you say, like, you know, he's having a few battles. If you don't win anything this season, you've got to be sacked. Is this and this and that. You know what I mean? Like, but this Kai Havertz signing is one for them. They're all looking, they're all waiting. Right, what's he going to do? Like, you know, listen, this has been going on with Arsenal for a very, very long time. It weren't that long ago when we signed Martin Odegaard, and a lot of fans were not happy about it, and ready to bash, ready to criticise. My God, he's proved them wrong.
Now those same fans, what a great signing. We only paid 30 million.
I mean? We only paid 30 million for him. What a great deal. What, you know? So the 65 million makes it a little bit more pressure.
I still think it's a bit worse in this case, because, as I said, he's not exactly the most
I'm with
popular.
You. I'm a little bit. What I can say from it, I'm a little bit
underwhelmed by it. And it's not just.
I don't think we needed to spend 65 million pounds. On that fact.
You think to yourself, and you say, right, that's 65 million. Could have went and getting another defensive player.
Well, I looked at it and I thought, right, my midfield, when we signed Declan Rice, I'm thinking, right, Thomas Partey, Rice and Odegaard, and then someone like a Caicedo coming in, or even
Could also play right back.
Laviner at Southampton. Someone like that, 60, get a couple of, or that Paulinho, 50 million from, 60. Like 60 in the end, was it? Like,
still go for him. His deal's falling through.
Someone like that. And I thought, wow, we'd have what a good. But then this Havertz one come in, 65 million. It's really, has it stopped us getting a central defender because we can't afford it, or this and this and that? I am a little bit, I'm willing for it to work, Robbie, but I'm not 100% sure it's going to.
Okay, Mr. Cray says, how is it that we look so much weaker than the same team? Do you think Arteta's tactics are messing it up, and are the players not pulling their weight How do we turn the team back to what it was? Let's just remind everybody as well, right, that we haven't actually lost a game this season.
No.
Right? So there is that.
Listen, on that point, Robbie, we was fantastic last year, but do you know what? We struggled against Fulham last season. Do you remember it was 2-1?
We did, yeah. We struggled. The only difference was we held on for the 2-1.
Struggled against Aston Villa.
Yeah.
It was 1-1. Do you remember from the corner?
From the corner, yeah.
And then we went and I think Martinelli nicked one right close at the end. So their away form was really good because we'd beaten Palace and Bournemouth in that sort of stage. So there was some difficult moments even last season, even though I thought it was going to be much, much better.
Okay.
So there has got to be an element of patience with us. We've got to be a little bit patient.
I'm just saying, there's so many comments coming in. Thank you very much. Margaret O'Donnell says he's Ozil Mark II, but I think he will come good. Jacques says he played in the league for years already. Emmanuel says Havertz will cost Arteta his job. WGS says Havertz 2 to 3 years will be the next Van Persie. Maybe. He started slow as well, Van Persie. Remember, lots of injuries. Steg says the standards of our squad depth are going to become even more complicated when next season's European League format comes into effect. Bye. Abdullah says 3 major injuries at the back is not a transfer problem. That's a different issue. Can't blame the transfer policy for that. That's poor fitness and medical. But now, Abdullah, what we're trying to say is, we got a couple of players that last season we saw they're injury. Tomiyasu, injury prone. A lot of people talk about the Saliba injury, right, and Saliba being out. Tomiyasu was out as well.
Same game.
At the same time, right, and did not return for the season as well.
Out for the season,
So basically you had Tomiyasu and Saliba out
for the season.
Right, and that's when Rob Holding actually had to come in. Right, so now you're saying we're relying on those players that are out for a long period of time. Zinchenko, he's not even back into the team fully yet because of injuries. He hasn't done a pre-season, right, because of injuries. He had a lot of injuries, little niggles in and out last season, right? We're relying on him. That's why, for me, this is just my opinion, I think some sort of loan deal we should have tried to have done to, bring someone in. I think we've done very, very well with offloading players. The amount of players that Arsenal have got rid of this transfer window have been unbelievable, and that's great for Arsenal because, and this is where I'm saying, is it kind of leading to what they do maybe in January, because they have freed up a lot of wages off the wage bill. I mean, so many players are gone on, whether it be loans where all of their wages are being paid, or players that have left the club, and then they made a big profit on Balogun and players like that. So they've done good outgoings, and I think they've done good incomings, but just one more. Because of the injury to Urian Timber, I think we could have done with one more. Just before I go to you there, Lee, one more super chat. Guriev says, that tells us how important Xhaka was. The reason why we can't rely on Rice is because he doesn't create as many chances, hence shoehorning in Havertz. Well, I think Havertz was sort of brought in to create more than Granit Xhaka. I feel that when I look at the Havertz thing, I feel that, listen, Granit Xhaka was going to leave because he wanted more, he wanted a longer contract. He wants to play week in, week out, and he knew that he wouldn't, changes were coming, they wouldn't happen. I think Havertz has been brought in as that guy that can play a similar position, but will maybe get you more goals.
Yeah.
And then also, I think Havertz, it's the versatility thing and the fact that you can put him up front.
Exactly that.
You can play him on that right-hand side. You can play him in the same... You can actually even play him in the position that Odegaard plays him as well. He's a very versatile player, so I think that's why he's been brought in.
Sometimes that don't help you.
It doesn't help you as a player because the first thing, a lot of us are saying is, what's your best position? What are you? Who are you?
What are you?
Which is actually, by the way, something we always used to say about Xhaka.
Yeah.
What's your position?
Listen,
are you a defensive midfielder? Are you number 8? What do you do? You're left. I remember, if you remember rightly, right? This is quite interesting. Before Xhaka's sort of really standout season last year, right? He's been played he's been played at left back and all things like that as well.
Listen, and to get to where Xhaka had, he had 5 or 6 years at it.
Yeah.
To get to that standard, and that's like he was. I thought he had a good season the year before, by the way, before that as well. Like, so he's had 2 fantastic seasons at Arsenal, but the other 4 weren't mind blowing. You know, and then you're expecting Havertz to come in and hit the ground running and all that. Like, I don't think it's going to happen. I think that, you know, it may take him 3 or 4. I think he's got to pick his game up. What I see of, by the way, Vieira last week in that role, that's what you want to see Havertz doing. Taking on players, driving past players, not keeping the ball and being what I would say, like, what's the word I'm really looking for? Safe in his play. We can all do that, you know what I mean? Like, you know, it seems to me like, say if you go to a new club or whatever, like, you know, and you've got good players around you, think, I'll tell you what, I'm going to play safe and I'm just going to get the ball, show that I've got good touch, and just play it here, play it there. And then, you know, eventually you've got to be able to, you've got to start driving past people, you've got to be making things happen. I don't see it at the moment, but I didn't see it from Xhaka at first, and then, like, you know, so you've got to give him a little bit of time.
Bit of news here, but seems to be coming in. Hasn't been confirmed yet, but it's reports that Albert Sambi Lokonga has joined Luton Town on a season-long loan. And that's the Mail reporting that's been completed in recent minutes. So Sambi
that's
Lokonga
been kept very, very quiet. So
Sambi Lokonga going to Luton Town.
So that's another one down.
That's another one down. I think it's only really Cedric and Pepe now, isn't it? Cedric and Pepe that are the 2 ones. And what's happening with, you know, there's also gosh, he ain't played for so long, I forgot his name now. Mohamed El Neni. He's still at Arsenal as well. Yeah,
well, I think he's going to stay as a backup and play the cup games like the Carabao Cup and everything like that.
And Aku here in the comments, he's saying with jest, he goes, Real Madrid have submitted a £60 million bid for Cedric. They've also put £100 million in for Lee Judges to going to their midfield to play alongside Bellingham.
There you go. You know, so but look, you look at Cedric, like, surely, like. You know, he's been overlooked on a lot of things. He did go on the American tour though, didn't he?
Yeah, he did, but he didn't play, did he?
He didn't play, so...
And he's been training away from the team, so... And I guess he could cover, but come on. I mean, it tells you all you need to know.
Nowhere, isn't it? Lokonga's come out of nowhere. So maybe Arsenal will come out with one right at the end. I don't know.
I don't think so. I think sometimes, well, it's 7 o'clock now. Sometimes you kind of can tell when something's going to happen on deadline day. There's been no links all day with any player. There's been no talk of any player at all.
Nah.
And it does look like Arsenal not going to be signing anyone. El says, start Vieira over Havertz. He came with fire.
Well, he did.
He did.
He did. You know what I mean? That's what we've been wanting to see from Vieira for a very, very long time. So, you know, all he's got to do now is train hard this week, and maybe he'd have got in the team. Like,
well, you talk about train hard. I know you was mocking, Eddie Nketiah, but England call up.
Yes. Listen, we said on the Invincible. Do you remember we said it a few last season when Jesus got injured? We turned around and said that the ideal situation is he comes in and he gets an England call up, because that's when he's done his job. And he has done his job replacing Jesus. I thought it was wrong for him to be left out of the team last week, if I'll be honest, as much as I criticise him for not taking his chance against Crystal Palace. I think that he created the goal with the penalty. I thought he played well that game. I thought he come on the other day and done the job against Fulham as well. I thought he was brilliant when he come on. Him and Vieira, you know. Would I start him tomorrow? Start him on Sunday? No. I'd go with Jesus because he's our main man. But I think that if he does get in the team, I've got not a problem with it. Like, you know, he's done well. He's scored 2 goals so far, and I think that, listen, getting an England cap these days is fantastic for him. But you know, you've only got to clean his car, and you like to get an England cap. Like, you know, how can like people like Maguire and Calvin Phillips get into that team?
Oh, that's shocking.
It's beyond me. Like, shocking. You know? And then for him to turn around and say, well, I haven't got a lot of experience at the back. Well, you got Ben White, who's been playing week in, week out, has been superb. But you'd rather have someone that's not played at any minute and is not going to play a minute of football until he plays for England. Like, you know what I mean? Realistically, I'm sorry, but you know, for Eddie, it's a great thing. Hopefully he gets some sort of minutes and he's not there to just make up the numbers in training.
Well, on the Sambi Lokonga thing, do you think that's a good move?
Yeah.
You know, because it's a Premier League team. Luton Town, he'll probably start week in, week out. I mean, listen, they'll be struggling, but he's going to have to battle. He's going to have to show his mettle.
Yeah, I'm with you on that.
But then does this style of play suit a Sambi Lokonga? I mean...
He ain't going to get anywhere else, right? Like, you know, listen, he was... I look at him and he, you know, he's unfortunate. He goes to Crystal Palace with the guidance of probably one of the best midfield players to learn off of, and he gets sacked within a couple of weeks of him being there, and so that ruined that move to Crystal Palace. At least he's going to go to a team now where the manager wants him there, and you know, and get some sort of football. Listen, I don't think it's about getting some minutes under his belt for him. Like, you know, I see a player in him last season. I felt that he'd done okay in some things, but unfortunately, it's not worked out for him. He needs to knuckle down now. I'm surprised that the Burnley one didn't come through. You know, so we'll have to wait and see what happens there. But for me, I think that he's got a chance to go on loan now, get some Premiership minutes under you. But I think that's important as well for any player. You know, Marquinhos, why has he gone where he's gone? He should be playing in the Premier League. Yep. You know, learning his trade here, like, you know.
Well, that's Fabrizio Romano now tweeting that as well, that Albert Sambi Lokonga has gone on loan to Luton Town. So that's another player out. Let me remind you of the players that have got out. Following Balogun, of course, to Monaco, big fee. Granit Xhaka to Bayer Leverkusen, Matt Turner to Nottingham Forest, Austin Trusty to Sheffield United, Pablo Mari to Monza, Kieran Tierney to Real Sociedad, Nuno Tavares to Nottingham Forest as well, Marquinhos to Nantes, Ainsley Maitland-Niles went to Lyon on a free, Runarsson to Cardiff on loan, and now Sambi Lokonga has gone to Luton on a season-long loan. And as I said, that's 4, 6, 8, 10, 11 players that have left Arsenal this summer.
So what's our midfield now then? We haven't really got much cover in here. Well, we've got Jorginho.
I think midfield. I think
we've got enough.
Yeah, I think midfield's in the Let me just go for it. So let me just get I'm going on Arsenal's website actually and get the team up. So if we go through the men's team, so again, looking at it at the back, we've got Ramsdale and Raya. So we're nice there, right? Yeah. There's rumours that actually, but Okawonku is going out he's definitely going on a loan as well. Then at the back, Saliba, White, Gabriel. Glad we've kept him. Timber, but of course he's injured. Kivior. By the way, I'm going to ask you a question about Kivior that my son, 14-year-old son, asked me. Right? Kivior, Cedric, Tomiyasu, Zinchenko. Those are the defenders. Midfielders, Thomas Partey, Odegaard, Smith Rowe, Jorginho, Fabio Vieira, El Neni, and Havertz, and Declan Rice. So I think we're all right in midfield. And then up front, Saka, Jesus, Martinelli, Eddie Nketiah, Trossard, Reece Nelson, and of course we still got Nicolas Pepe. My son asked me this question earlier, right? My 14-year-old son. He goes, is Kivior, from what I've seen so far, is he any better than Rob Holding? From what we've seen so far, and I'm not on about what he can become, and I know we ain't seen a lot, but he goes, is he better than Rob Holding? Have you seen anything?
Well, it's a great question.
Yeah, I mean, and I started, first of all, I said to my son, I go, don't be stupid. And then I started thinking about it and said, well, aerially, Rob Holding's better from what I've seen. Better than Kivior in the air. Kivior looks a better sort of footballer on the ground. But I've not seen a lot from Kivior yet. I mean, I don't know.
No, I think it's a good thing, you know. Look, listen, Holding's had some special moments at Arsenal as well. The FA Cup finals, he's done well in them, you know, particularly the one against Chelsea if you go back in the day. I also think with Rob Holding, don't forget he got a bad injury didn't he? Do you remember at Old Trafford, like done his ACL? Never quite the same when he come back. Kivio, like, to me, I'm going to say I thought he was defended quite well, but I was disappointed with him on Saturday. I thought he was poor.
Non-existent, wasn't he?
Non-existent, like, you know, well, Gabriel could do a 10 times better job.
Boston says Kiwi ain't ripe yet. I like that one.
Yeah, I like that.
Abdullah says, hi, Rob. Robbie, this is Egyptian Guna. Big up yourself. He said from the first X-Space chat. Great talking to you that day. Check my super chat. You missed it before the last one. Oh, sorry, I didn't see that. I didn't see that one. Big up to Don Robbie and the judge, says Lee Burrell. Keganu says, poor transfer window. My expectations dropped at the point where Arsenal may struggle to finish in the top 4 this season. You cannot say. I know some people are disappointed by today, and I'm disappointed that we didn't bring in, and as I said, I'd be looking alone for Timber. How can it be a disappointing transfer window? We bought Declan Rice.
I think you've got to remember that.
Declan Rice, Timber, 2 great signings. Havertz, jury's out. And David Raya, top keeper. What I've seen us do is we bring in 4 quality players. It's the only thing that disappoints me about this window is that we didn't, go in and bring in like a bit of more defensive cover with Timber's injury. Yeah, we've kept hold of our best players. Right there, there was talk of Saudi clubs coming in for Gabriel. There was talk of Smith Rowe to Chelsea and all that. We've kept hold of all of those, so that's a positive for me. We still got. I know a lot of people will be looking at it and saying, "Oh, we could have got Ansu Fati." I personally, I wouldn't have wanted that over Emile Smith Rowe. I want to see Emile Smith Rowe. This guy was brilliant for us before those injuries. He's just had a good summer. We had a great. Did brilliantly in the under-21s. I want to see him given his chance.
And he will get a chance now,
and now he will be given his chance.
He will be given his chance. I think Pepe, obviously not going to, unless they terminate his contract.
There's talk that they're going to terminate his contract.
If they terminate him, means it doesn't matter.
I'd like to see them, and there was a rumour about a month ago that Mikel Arteta had sat down with Pepe and said to him, listen, we might assimilate you back into the team. But they have been trying to get rid of him. They have been trying to sell him, and they still might. And remember, the Saudi transfer window doesn't close today. It closes about 2 weeks' time. I still think they'll be trying to get rid of Pepe. They'll be trying to get him off the wage bill. He's a very high earner. But if not, I'd like to see them, if he does stay, I'd like to see them assimilate him back into the team. Because he could be that cover on that right-hand side. He could be needed.
100%. He's a top player, isn't he? I'm a big... I wouldn't say big fan of his, but I felt his stats and all that were...
It could be effective.
It wasn't, could finish. Yeah. You know what I mean? And has been effective
I personally, if we keep Pepe, I want to see him given another chance. Yeah. If he stays at Arsenal today, get him back in there, get him training with the first team, get him saying, right, you know what, Nicholas, you're here, right now, show us what you can do. Give us something.
I'm with you on that.
Another pod says, do you think Arteta will play Pepe this season? He's actually asking the question we're talking. I personally think he's still got something to give this team. And of course, ESR needs to play too. Well, if Pepe stays, I want to see more of him. And definitely, I want to see Smith Rowe.
See more of Smith Rowe.
I want to see Smith Rowe playing in games. And Arteta in his press conference today was sort of saying that, there's lots of games coming up, and I've been saying we've been just looking on it as the games that we've played so far. But you said it in September, Brentford game, we got Champions League games.
Yeah, it starts in September. It's from September till December, innit? We virtually play them every 3 times a week.
Yep. Right, it's all been confirmed now that Lokonga has definitely gone to Luton Town. So Lokonga has joined Luton Town on a season-long loan. So good luck to him. Let's hope that he can have himself a good season. But yes, he has definitely gone to Luton Town. So
that's been kept very quiet, Rob, isn't it? Very quiet, that one.
Well, they're doing a lot of outgoings today, but no incomings as it stands. We're going to wrap it up now. Let's just run through it again. These are the signings that Arsenal have made this summer transfer window. Declan Rice, £105 million. Kai Havertz from Chelsea, 65 million. Urian Timber from Ajax, 38 million. And David Raya on a season-long loan with an option to buy at the end of it. The outgoings have been, as we just said, Albert Sambi Lokonga has gone to Luton Town. Balogun has gone to Monaco. Granit Xhaka, Leverkusen. Matt Turner has gone to Nottingham Forest. Austin Trusty to Sheffield United, Pablo Mari to Monza, Kieran Tierney loaned to Sociedad, Nuno Tavares has joined Nottingham Forest, Marquinhos to Nantes, Ainsley Maitland-Niles to Lyon, and Runnison to Cardiff. We've got a poll going on. I can't see the poll there, so maybe production, if you can just send me the answer to the poll. Has it been a good transfer window? Has it been a good transfer window, and what would you rate it out of 10, Lee?
I think it was a good transfer window up until the Timber injury. I think it's been underwhelming since. So for me, it would have been an 8. But now, because we haven't replaced Timber, I'm going to a 6.
Oh, I think that's very fair, you know. I was actually going to say the same. With the Timber, if Timber hadn't have got injured, I would have got, I agree with you, I would have gone at 8. I would have thought it's an excellent window, but with Timber getting injured and not getting covering, I'm going to give it a 6.5. It's not exactly a bad window. 6 kind of makes it feel like it's bad, but I'm going to give it a 6.5. If we would have brought in someone to cover that, it'd been a 7.
I think with the Champions League being, you know, with the Champions League now, I feel a little bit underwhelmed by it all. I thought with the Champions League, we'd have maybe gone.
Are you underwhelmed though because it's early? If we on deadline day, if we'd have signed Declan Rice,
no, I was.
You wouldn't be underwhelmed, would you? You'd be buzzing.
If we'd have signed Declan Rice today, you'd be all going mad. We've had that brilliant a bit of. And listen, Declan Rice is a great signing for us, but I just think that with the Champions League. I'm not looking. I'm being honest, Robbie. I'm not going into the Champions League this season and the title thinking, I'll be happy if we end up top 4, and we'll be happy to just get through the group stages of the Champions League. I expect Arsenal to be challenging for both.
Yeah,
I really do, Robbie. Like, you know what I mean. And if they're not,
that's what we want.
And if they're not at the end of the season, answers have got to be. There's got to be questions to these. Yep. You know, like Mikel cannot keep getting free passes all the time. You can't. Okay. Somewhere along the line, you know, we failed to get top 4 to Spurs that year because we run out of steam and injuries, and we got some horrendous injuries along the way there at the end there. Even so, we now know that Ben White had to play with a hamstring injury. Like, you know, the following season, last season, I believe if Saliba and Tomiyasu stay fit, we win that league. So but again, the squad weren't strong enough. I'm not, you know, we've had an opportunity to rectify that this season, and again, I'm sitting here today thinking to myself, we haven't done enough. Okay.
By the way, in that poll, it was rate Arsenal's transfer window. Whoops. 42% of you said it's average. 36% said good. 15% poor. 6% said excellent. And thank you for nearly 5,000 people who voted in that. Sure. Manpreet says incomings equal Rice, great. Timber injured for most of the season. Havertz a waste of money, and Raya backup goalkeeper. Technically, we have one good signing. I rate it a 5 out of 10, says Manpreet.
You know, the other thing we haven't really spoke about it with the Raya one. Is that putting pressure on Ramsdale? Is that the sort of pressure that he needs? I don't know, you know what I mean? No one knows what's going to happen there. And do you know what someone said on the radio yesterday, which was a fantastic, I think it was Darren Bent that said it, you know, and he turned around and said, look, it's fantastic that the likes of Saka, Martinelli, Odegaard, you know, the younger players, Saliba, all coming through the Arsenal, the one like Smith, all got the opportunity to play Champions League football. They're going to be playing Champions League football. He didn't mention Ramsdale. is he going to get the opportunity? Now, that'd be a little bit harsh if he doesn't get an opportunity to play in the Champions League, because like somewhere along the line, Raya's got to play. So where is he going to play his games? And you know, it's a little bit unfair that he's not going to. Maybe I think that, you know, there's a little bit of a promise you're going to play Champions League and Cup games. So I don't think like Ramsdale's going to.
Your best goalkeeper's got to play whichever games. T. Sal says, any chance we saw the draw and thought we could make it to January? Champions League draw he's on about. Could be.
Good point.
Yeah, and Kai Smith says, happy to give Havertz time if it's on the bench. Right, so that's what you're saying, time.
Listen,
and I do think he should be eased in. I agree with that.
I do agree with that, and I think that's a great point about the Champions League. He can be eased in those games, can't he? Yeah. Because I think, you know, for me, I would be easy. Like, it's a great point that, you know, we've got some games there where you think you can make a few changes and win those games. So they're all winnable, those games. So, yeah, that's a good point.
Okay, well, listen, we come to the end of this special Invincible podcast today. Thank you very much for joining us on deadline day. So it looks like Arsenal's not going to be making any more signings. If we do, we're here right up until 11 o'clock and we will break the news and give you an update. But at the moment, it looks like there's loads more, you know, more outgoings today. It's been a day of outgoings and less of incomings. Gone out today. Nuno Tavares has gone to Nottingham Forest. That was confirmed. He's gone today. Rob Holding is joining Crystal Palace. That is going through right now. He's having his medicals and everything, and he will be a Palace player. And of course, Albert Sambi Lokonga has joined Luton Town on a season-long loan. Those three have all gone out today. Could Cedric go before the end of the transfer window? What about Pepe? What's going to happen with him? We will keep you all across that here on AFTV. Thanks for watching the show. The Invincible podcast. Thank you to Lee. I hope you can get home. I know there's a train strike on today.
Strike at the moment. Yeah,
it's train strike. Right, you know what I mean? If anyone is in the North London area, can give them a lift home to Hertfordshire. You know what I mean? Get on to it. Thanks for watching the show. Don't forget to subscribe here. Thanks for everybody, by the way. Just been up every day with me on Transfer Daily. It was the last one today.
So you've done that, you know?
Yeah, last one today. I was like,
have a lay in tomorrow.
I said to my daughter, I'll get some sleep now, man. I mean,
it's
been
a long one as well, isn't it?
Yeah, I remember tomorrow morning I'm on Sky.
So I've
got to wake up. They want me there. I've got to wake up Saturday social.
Oh, you're on that tomorrow?
I'll wake up about 6 a.m. for that as well. So no sleep. But listen, I'm looking forward to the game. Man United on Sunday. Can't wait for that game. Going to be a big one. And I'm sure we'll be talking about that on next week.
I'll watch that Saturday show. I'll get up for that tomorrow then.
I'm sure you will. Subscribe and we'll see you soon. The Invincible podcast. Myself, Robbie and Lee Judges come together once a week to discuss all things Arsenal. Straight talking, considered discussion, brought to you by the fans of the only club in Football League history to go invincible.